Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Martinez, and today we're making vegan blueberry bagels. To start this recipe, we're going to let 1 cup of blueberries thaw. Take some frozen blueberries and let them chill at room temperature for just a little bit. Meanwhile, blend 1 cup of pitted dates, half a cup of soy milk, and half a cup of water in a high-speed blender until completely pureed. Combine 300 grams of bread flour, 150 grams of whole wheat flour, and 50 grams of vital wheat gluten or extra bread flour. Vital wheat gluten is used to make seitan. It's essentially the protein gluten in wheat, and so if you have a gluten intolerance, this is not for you, nor this recipe in general, but isolate on this ingredient if you have it, if you're familiar with it. If not, omit it and just add some extra bread flour. And then combine the date paste with the dry ingredients. The date paste is added by itself because it's a fibrous paste because of all of the dates, and it will substitute and be part of the wet ingredients that we will add, because we will also need to add to the mixture 200 and 300 grams of water. You can optionally choose to use soy milk or plant milk. This of course depends on your type of flour, so start by combining and adding 200 grams and slowly increasing according to the texture of your dough. Now give it a good mix by hand or in a stand mixer until the flour has absorbed all of the wet ingredients, and then let it auto-lease for 15 to 30 minutes. Add 100 grams of fed sourdough starter. Combine until super well incorporated. This takes about 5 to 10 minutes of good mixing until the dough resembles an earlier stage and you can't tell that the sourdough is separate. Now we're going to add the most important ingredient of these vegan blueberry bagels, the blueberries themselves. Next, we will add some salt. Add 10 to 15 grams of salt. Reduce if you don't want that much salt in your recipe. Now we're going to take the outer edges of the dough and bring them to the middle, incorporating all of the blueberries and the salt, and using the pincer method to incorporate all of the ingredients super well. Be sure not to squish the blueberries because this will just release their juices. They will be reabsorbed into the bread, but try to keep them as whole as possible. After you've completely mixed in your ingredients, let the dough rest for about 10 to 15 minutes and then apply a series of stretch and folds. These, we've seen them in the past, and they will continue to reappear in these sourdough recipes. So by taking the outer edges of your dough, stretch up and towards the middle, the center of your dough. Do this to the entire circumference of your dough 2 to 3 times, 30 minutes to 45 minutes apart. Now we're going to let that dough relax and chill and bulk ferment in the refrigerator, because the next morning we will take it out of the fridge and dump it out of the bowl it's been placed in. Take a bench scraper, mine is plastic, hopefully you have a nicer one, that's a metal one. We will measure our dough and then divide that number by 12 in order to make approximately 12 equal bagels. This takes a bit of cutting and measuring and weighing, but it's well worth it because then the bake time will be the same for each individual bagel. If one is too small, then that bagel will bake too quickly. To shape the bagel, we're going to take one individual piece of dough that we've shaped into the 12 individual pieces, and we will take our hands from the center of that piece of dough, gently roll towards the outside, and then we're going to twist and combine the 2 ends that have been disconnected. put these bagels onto a greased baking sheet. You can also choose to put them over some parchment paper. I recommend using a bit of parchment paper if you're not aware of how hot your oven gets. You don't want to toast and burn the bottom of these bagels. We're going to spray these bagels with just a little bit of oil and then cover with some aluminum foil and let them rest for about an hour and a half until they've proved and we've given the sourdough starter time to ferment our dough. Then when we're ready to bake, we're going to boil 2 quarts of water, approximately 2 quarts of water, in a large pot and add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. For a more authentic bagel, add some barley malt, about a tablespoon and a half of barley malt. This will actually encourage that browning on the outside layer of your bagel. I did not have any, so unfortunately I didn't get to feature it in this recipe, but in the future, hopefully I will be able to. Add each bagel and boil for 1 minute on each side until it starts to bubble, and remove them from the water and place them back onto the baking tray. They will have a slightly gummy exterior, don't worry, this is completely normal. Then proceed to bake them at 375 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. These bagels are super crusty and delicious. They're paired nicely with some vegan sour cream or some peanut butter. You choose sweet or savory. This is your creation. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for daily shorts and weekly videos every Friday. See you next time.